So I think we are live now, and in this video I'm going to make a Django website, full stack website with a good looking front end. And in that website I'll be making all of the CRUD operations, and so you can have a basic idea of how Django works, how to create in the database, read in the database, and read from the database, sorry, and update in the database and delete from the database. So basically CRUD are the operations which are like core functionality of any website, and how to make a database schema and how to make static files working with Django. So before getting started, so let's go to the Django documentation, sorry, Django docs. So before starting with any framework, so you firstly search for their documentation, and from here we can start with the, so basically you all of the dependencies are, or I can say requirements are, you should have Python installed in your system. If it is not, then you can directly go to terminal and type Python. If this prompts comes, then it means you have installed Python, and you must also have the Python package manager, which is pip. So if you will type pip, a pop sorry these type of messages will, if these type of messages will print pop up, then you're good to go with installing Django. Yeah, so we should check with our, so I'm going to use VS Code for this, and let's paste the command here. So I have already installed Django. If you haven't installed Django, then you can directly do this pip install Django. So this is saying requirement already satisfied, which means I have already installed, and the version of this is 3.2. I am using the 3.2, which is the latest version of that. And so how do we get started? Firstly, we have to create a project. How do we create a project? Here is the simple command. Let me just copy and paste it here. Okay, let me clear the console. So this is the command. After installing Django, you will have access to this command and this argument as well. So what this command do is, this is the Django admin command, which, and after giving this argument, which will be the start project, it will create a empty project in your file system. And after this argument, you have to put the name of that project. Okay, so like what will be the project? If you want to do a to do application, then you have to name it to do. And if you want like any e-commerce website, then you can name it like Amazon or whatever you want. Okay, so for this tutorial I'm going to use to do, and let's start that. As you can see, after entering that, it created a project file, and these are the files that comes pre-built with the Django, as they have discussed. Like whatever the project will be, there will be a manage.py file which will control all of our like which will manage basically all of our Django project, everything about Django project. Okay, and then there will be a root source directory of that project, which will be the like main directory of the project, we can say. And here is init.py, which you really don't need to care about with. And this is the settings.py file, which you have to deal most of the time. Okay, and here is the urls.py and asgy and wsgi or whiskey, whatever you can call it. And this file host our Django application. This file will need, like whenever we host our website on Apache server or Nginx or GUnicorn, we point our server to this file, so we can create a web server interface. So as a beginner, you really don't need to care about this. All you need to care about this file and this file. Okay, so all of our configuration will be in this file, and all of our URLs, or you can say you can just remove that comment, and all of our URLs will be in this. Okay, so now how to start the server? Now you have to run, if you have installed, you obviously have installed Python and firstly we have to navigate to our project file, project directory, and then you can then you can use the manage.py file to start the server. Sorry, we have run server command. If we hit enter and it give you this message, and let's go to that, and yeah, our website is now working. So we have successfully created our website and now it is up and running. And now how do we set up this? How do we add our features in this, like how where is our database? So let me first go through the settings.py file, and this is the base directory. Yeah, like using the path library we can get our name of the current directory, and or you can say a relative or absolute path. You can call whatever it is, I don't know, base directory, which will point to this directory. Okay, sorry, this directory, main directory. And secret key you don't need to care about. Debug is equal to true means we are currently in the debug mode, so all of our errors will be printed in the console and as our website as well. If we do like here, whatever, you can say the page not found, you can say that this is the requested URL and all of the available URLs are here, so it will print some hints as well, and some of the debugging you can say it will also help you in debugging. So whenever you are in development, you have to set it is equal to true. If you want to move to production, and then you have to set it to false. So let's stick to the true. And this allowed host means, which you really don't need to care about for this video. And here are our install app. So all of the features will be included in this, so that we can say we can mention our Django project that we have installed these apps, so it can work with that. So these are the middleware which you really don't need to care about as a beginner. And this is the root config file, like it will pick all of these URLs from this file. Okay, to do .urls, this is to do. If you go, then URLs. Okay, this is the template. So with the help of this variable, you can configure your static files. Okay, and whiskey application don't need to care about. And this is the database variable in which you can configure all of your database. Like if you want to set up multiple database, and then you can set up multiple database as well. And if you want to stick to the one database, which is SQLite, which come by default with Django, so you can, for testing or just learn stuff, you can stick to that. And if you want to move to production, then you can use Postgres. And this is so setting up Postgres will not be the part of this, and I will surely do a video to how to set up Postgres on this. Okay, and here is our language UTC. Like you can say here Asia. If you're from India, then you can set here Asia Kolkata. Use time zone info false, and it will use now the Indian time zone. Okay, so here is the static URL and Django auto field. Okay, so these are the variables which you as a beginner don't need to care about. And so this is the thing. And now what you should do to start working on the website, like you really don't just want this, you want to work on some feature, you want to some static page, your home page, the HTML code which you will write. Okay, so for that you will have to write manage.py start app. So let's go back to the documentation. As we did run server, it did the same. We have done this. So create the pulse app. So basically this is just the project file. Okay, and this is used to control the whole project. And so if you need any feature, or you can say if you visit Facebook, like Facebook is the whole project. In our case, to do is the whole project. Okay, so if we go to this profile, then this is the separate app for this. Okay, Facebook have a different URLs for a different module, or you can say different app for this project. And Like Facebook have, like, it's not mandatory that only Facebook have. All of the like websites have this type of separate module in which they install all of their features. So let's start app, like whatever we can call this, like my app. You can, for now you can call it my app. So what this command will do, so this command will create an app within your project and with some files in it. Okay, these are the migrations which you really don't need to care about for this time, and this is the admin which I will tell you later on. And in this models.py you can write your schemas. Okay, in this test file you can write your test for, you can write unit test code for your applications or application, whatever. And in this views.py you can write your logic for views. Okay, so now before getting started with any app, what you have to firstly do, firstly you have to do, sorry, firstly you have to create a database schema. Okay, so for database schema you will need to create a class with to do, and now it will inherit models.model. Okay, we are saying, so let me just correct the indentation, class to do. And so what we want to save in our to-do list, like what will be the name of the task which we want to do. Okay, you can here say task name and models. This is the models, and this is the model, one are same thing. And this is the character field which say that we want to save a character, like character string, or whatever you can say. It is a character or a string. Character is just a one word, string is a whole collection of length. And maximum length, how much length we want to store. For now let's say 200. And if the task is completed, we have boolean field. Okay, boolean field. And for default, whenever, like, well, let me just complete. Default is false, and created is equal to model data field. Auto now add is equal to true. Def string under method, like it will return self dot task name. Okay, so this is the whole database schema for our to do. Like, we want, this will create a to do table in our database, and with the this attribute, or you can say not an attribute, this will create a row. Sorry, it will not create, it is the attribute of that table. And this is also, and this is also, in which in the to do table we want to store our name of the task and mark if that is completed or not. And we also want to store that the time when it was created. So for storing task name we are using character field, in which like we will use something like this, to do, like make a YouTube video. Like, if we want to store this, then we have to use a character field, which is this. If you want to store true or false, then we have to use, like, if you want to use any boolean value in our table, then we have to use boolean field. And to store any datetime, like timestamp values, then we have to use datetime field. Okay, and we also have date field as well. Okay, for now we are going to use add datetime. So default, so whenever the new task will be added, it will be not completed. Completed will be false by default. Okay, so, and whenever the task will be created, just a minute, whenever the task will be created at the, so that time at that exact moment will be added to that value. Okay, will be added in that value. So firstly we need to migrate our app. So for this, firstly let's migrate whatever comes with the Django. So Django comes predefined. Django comes with the users tables, session tables, and many more things. So firstly, you have to run this command migrate. So that's good. So now we have to run make migrations. It will not pick up that obviously, because why didn't pick up? Because we don't have registered our app. How do we register our app? So you go to our installed apps, so you will say here my app, then don't forget to add a comma. It's just a good practice. So if you do make migrations, it will say create model to do, which is our name of our table. Okay, model, you can say whatever you want on table or model. So in Django we call it a model, and now you have to rerun migrate command, so it creates a table for to do. Okay, now it has created a table, and Django comes with admin by default admin panel. If you go to the admin panel, so first let's run the server. So it has created sorry yes, after just adding admin, we have visited our admin panel, and here it's asking for user credentials like admin ID and password. So we haven't created any, so and we will create our first little cd to do and manage.py. This is the create super user command. With the help of this command you can create a super user. So let's just create one. I will say admin, skip the email address, sorry, password will be admin@123, admin@123. okay, password too similar, we want to continue, yes. Okay, so now we can say admin and admin@123. So now we have visited our Django admin panel. We have been authenticated to our Django admin panel. So if you check the users, then you can say we have only one user which we recently created now with the username admin, and this is the hash value of our password. So you can, by clicking this form, let me just enlarge this. So if you can click this form, then you can reset the password here. Here is our groups, which you really don't need to care about as a beginner. And now where is our to do model? So here is when the admin file of our app comes to in action. So we have to register our to do model in our admin panel, so we can see the whatever we are inserting in the database. Okay, so here you have to import that from dot models, import to do. Okay, so now with this you can use here admin dot register, admin dot site dot register to do, and here is our to do's. So if you will notice, it automatically added s at the end of our model, so it is just creating the plural value, or I don't know whatever we can call this. So you can add to do name, task name. What will be the task name? Make a YouTube video. Okay, this is not completed by default. String return none type. Why this is the error? I don't know why this is the error showing up. Sorry, I forget the return statement. So you have to return that. Okay, if you will continue again, then it is added. So you can delete it from here. Now take me back, and if you add another one, so it is not completed by default. If you check this, then it will be completed by default. So let's create another task which will be like start working on mumble. So if you see this, start working on mumble, then we just mark that as completed, so it is just completed. And now where you should write your logic for your views, and for this we have to, so for writing logics or serving our static files, we have to create our logic files or in this views.py for this app. So let's start that. Def index, which will take request argument always, and let's fix the indentation. And what it will do, it will return the render value of our request, of the template, and of the context which we want sent to the template. So our template engine can render these values dynamically. So we don't have these actually in define our function. So we can say template is equal to index.html, and for context will be an empty dictionary. So a render function always take 3 arguments, or you can say it at least it takes 3 arguments, which will be request and then template and then context. So request, so this request is this request, and this template will be a string value which will locate a template in your app directory, and this context will always be a dictionary. Remember that this context value will always be a dictionary. So you can remove this and just insert an empty dictionary here. Okay, this will also work. So this will say this is saying index.html. So whenever you hit this, so let's firstly import this from my app dot views import index. So we are importing that, and let's include a path in which we want to set empty path in which we want to return our index function. Okay, so let's go to that, visit our site. It is saying template doesn't exist, which is index.html. So always try to remember these type of error. So which so as I said, when you will set the debug mode is equal to true, then it will show you the errors which will help you in debugging. So if we set false, then it won't show any error. I think allowed host, in allowed host you can say allowed every host to render that. Server error 500. Okay, so this won't help you in debugging, so you can say true, and you can keep this, or you can revert it to back like empty. Okay, it doesn't matter if you are in development mode. Okay, so for now it is saying that template doesn't exist. So where should this template be placed? So there are different ways, but the ideal way is, or the more recommended way is to create a directory in your app naming template, and in that template you can create your index.html. Okay, so let me just create a boilerplate for this. Type html, and here you can say head, and here you can say body, and in head you can say the title, what the title will be, like say to do, and in body you can say h2 welcome to your to do list. So if we try running that, it still isn't working. So let's just try to refresh our server. It should work. I don't know why it is not working. Yeah, the name should be templates. Okay, it's not template, it will be a templates folder. Always remember that. Yeah, template, it should work. I don't know why it is not working. And the URL saying which is correct, my app. That was just a server, I think, which was not refreshing. So if you see the source code, or you can say, where is the source code option? Oh, I didn't see any. So as we defined, our doc type is HTML, and head is our, which is the title we set to do, and our body will be, sorry, I don't know why it is inserting all of that. And in our s2 we have our to do, which we just inserted here. Sorry, where is our, we just inserted here. Okay, so that's for our rendering files. Now we want to look it more elegant, or you can say more cleaner, so we are going to use materialize css for this. And you can say get started. So this is just a css framework, and you can download this, and I have already downloaded that. So what I will do is just go to my PC, and I will just pick up these. So how do you set up your static files? So in one of your app, you can create a folder like static, in which you can put all of your static files. And here is our index. You can put your index in your templates. Yeah, just replace that. So here is a whole bunch of the HTML, and you need to configure that. It will not just pick up like this, so you need some configuration to work with static files. So for now, just let's visit this. So all of these are broken. So if we see the demo of this should look like this, but it isn't looking like this. So what you have to do, so in Django, to load your static files, you have a tag which will be load static. Okay, you have to type this. If you don't have any extension, you can install your Django extension. You can install all of these, and after that, whenever you will type load, and then it will automatically sense that, and when you will hit enter, it will automatically add these opening and closing brackets. Okay, so you will have to load a static, and wherever your css files are, so you can use this and static, and then it will, and you will have to enter your path of the css. Okay, so you can say static, and now, and same for the javascript. You can just copy paste it here, and in the end you can enter this and this. So let's see if it works or not. No, it still isn't working. I think we need to start our, yeah, it's working. So if it doesn't work on your local server or on your machine, try to refreshing the server, and whatever you can try. Yeah, by link getting started, it will redirect to the materialize css framework. So yeah, we are getting this and this, which are same, I think. Sorry. So as you can see, these both are the same. So we have successfully loaded our template files. So what should you do next? Now you will want to render all of your to-dos here. So we can, for now we can remove the footer. Okay, and we can also remove our icon section. We can also remove that. Yeah, so that's look a lot cleaner. So instead of just a logo, you can do here to do and bar link. You can also remove that if you want, but you can still keep that. Like for this project we don't need that, so we can remove. So for this, whenever we hit on to do, then it will be redirected to the, sorry, it will be redirected to the home page. So like, let me refresh. So whenever we hit this, and we are redirected to our to do, like home page, and now we want to render our all of the to-dos which we added using admin panel. So how will we add? So let's go here and pick up a component, or you can say JavaScript, which you can drop down, or I think they are in component collections. So let's use this. So you can copy this from here and put the thing here. When you will hit reload, then boom, here are your static data to do. Refresh, and let's say, let's remove this. We have only one. Now we want this data to be dynamic. How we should retrieve the data from our database? So, as I said, all of our logic will be in the views.py. So firstly, so you will have to import all of your data from to-dos. Okay, so from dot models import to do. So now what you will have to do, so this is where Django API comes in. So like we can say to-dos is equal to to-dos to-dos to do dot objects dot all. So this is our model, and this is our model manager, and with the help of dot all function of the manager, we are importing all of the instance of that model in our to-dos. Okay, so now you can print to-dos. Let's try running this, and if you will see the console, now we are having a query set instance in which we have a list of all of our to-dos. So this is a list of our to-dos. Okay, so if you are beginner in Python, and if you have done sort of Python, then you can, for using for loop, you can print our to do. If I'll say refresh, then you can make a YouTube video, start working on Mumble, and within here, if that, you can also print multiple things at the same time. To do dot completed, what was the completed? So you can just copy and paste it here, and to do dot created. Okay, so make a YouTube video which is not completed, and this was created on this date and time, and the second instance is started working on Mumble, which is finished, true, and this was created on this date. So for our console, we can't just read this date time value, but our template can. So the purpose of showing all of these is that with the help of that model name and the objects, which is the manager of that, this is made by default by Django. So whenever you are retrieving anything, you always have to use to do the objects. Okay, whatever the model it can be, you always have to type the objects value, or you can just simply like whatever your model name, and then dot objects dot all or dot filter or dot create or whatever you want. So for let's give it back. So how do we send our this data to this template? Okay, so what this render function do is render our request using this template and this data. Okay, this data will be injected in this template. Okay, so how you can, so this is a dictionary, so you can just simply do this to do's. So what this do, this is the instance of to do's, and we are just injecting all of our to do's in a to do's variable, and this variable or this variable, sorry, or this instance can be used in this template. Okay, we are using this, and or you can say all to do's, and you can name it whatever you want. Make sure it doesn't conflict with any other. So in your templates, you can just use a for loop. So remember I am using a extension which I showed you earlier, and with the help of this I just typed for and it auto completed everything for me. So if you haven't installed, then you have to do it manually like this: for to do in all to do's. Okay, then you also have to end it and for, and now you can put this thing in here, and now let's try refreshing this. Okay, so now we are having rendering our dynamic data from our database. Now this is not the actual data, we were just using like static value, and with the help of this, like we used in our here, like we used in our loop. So this is just like a regular loop in Python. You can say to do, and if you will refresh that, then boom, we are having our dynamic data from our database. So if I add something more to database like to do's, start your homework. Okay, we have added that. So if we go back, then we are having our third instance which we added just now. So now we are having all of our data rendering in our template, and now what you should do, like, so we have, so let's say you have completed this task, make a YouTube video. Now you want to delete this. Okay, so how do you delete this? So to delete this, we can just use the delete icon, and this will just use this. And now what should you do now? Just redirecting, so let's just keep it that way. So now after clicking that, we will make a backend, so that you whenever you click that button, so all of your to do will be completed and it will be deleted from the database. So like here you can say make a YouTube video, delete. Yes, I am sure. If you can refresh, then boom, it's gone. So let's take it back, make a YouTube video and hit refresh, then it's back. And now how should you delete them? So for that, we have to make a different function which will create all of our logic for the delete functionality. Completed request, and we are going to have an ID, like whatever you want to. I will explain that, just stick to me. And to do will be to do dot object dot get id is equal to id. So we haven't initiated any id, but that's the beauty of the Django. Django automatically insert a primary key, which is an ID, and increment it every time whenever we create any object. So if you will see this, make a YouTube video, it have an ID of 4. Okay, and if you go back, start your homework, have an ID of 3. Okay, so firstly, before completing this, let me just make a URL for that. So we can say path delete, or you can say complete int then id, and here we want to say that uh, make sure you always give a comma at the end of any list item. So good, our website is working fine. So in this variable, and now using this we can create our URL, which will be in index, and in here you can just simply put this, make sure to add an slash before it. So you can't just use int and id here. What you will have to do is curly braces, like to do dot id, dot id. So let's refresh this and try to enter this, and yeah, that's a pretty good error, which is saying that my apps completed didn't have return an HTTP response. It returned none instead, because we didn't return any type of like response from here. We are just simply passing that values. So now say id, sorry, let's take it back. Let's uncomment this and print to dos, like just to do, or you can name it whatever you want. This variable you can name it whatever you want. Just make sure that it is just following the naming convention of Python. And now return redirect to our home page. Now we haven't imported this, so you can just say from Django.shortcuts import render and redirect as well. So if we click on these again, now what we are doing, that visit this URL. If you look at here at the left bottom of the screen here, if you look here, then whenever I point this, then you will see a URL, a dynamic URL for every different to do, like completed 2, completed 3, completed 4. So as these all are dynamic URLs generated using id. Okay, so using for loop we are just traversing all of our from all of our to-dos and naming it a to-do, and with the to-do instance we can get the id of that instance, and which insert automatically an id at the end of the URL dynamically whenever like traverse. And so whenever you click these are not deleting it. Why it is not deleting? Because what we are doing is just in URLs we are saying that accept an argument which will be an id. Okay, as an id, this will be the integer instance, and name it id. Okay, so in here we are saying okay, a request will come with an id, so we can use this request and id in our completed function. So with the help of to do, from that table using objects manager, we can get, remember this, always return single instance of model. Okay, this will return a one value. Dot get will always return a one value, and we can provide arguments from like which like what are the fields we want to get the to do. Okay, so the id is always unique in the Django. How it is always unique? Because Django uses an mechanism to generate automatic primary keys which are started from 1 2 3 and goes on and on and on. Okay, these are always unique, so we can just use the id field to just get our filter our instance of our to do. So after that, grabbing that instance, we are just printing that to the console. So if we try clicking that again, so say start working on mumble, if we click on that start your homework, then we will say we will see start your homework. And when we click on make a YouTube video, and it will print our make a YouTube video. So yeah, we are getting all of our instance using id, or you can say we are grabbing our unique instance using id. So now what you can do is to do dot delete. Done. Boom, that's done here. So if we grab this, if we click here, then this will be deleted. Okay, if we say delete, boom, that's deleted. If we click here, delete, that's deleted. If we click here, that's deleted. Okay, so in here template, so we are not rendering any type of like condition that you have no URL, so you can use the if condition here. If there is something in all to do's, we render these, else you can say s2 no tasks left to do. As you can see, no task left to do. So this is the syntax how you can use your if condition in your templates. Okay, you will have to type these syntax, which are a Jinja syntax, you can say. And remember, whenever you initiate any these type of condition, you always have to close that, like we did with 4. Like we started 4 and we ended that 4. Like if we are just ending if, and you can use if else with that. You can just also work without that. Okay, but that's not the correct way. So now you will be wondering, how do you add your to-dos? Not just by admin panel using a form. So for that we will have to grab a template. So using forms and text inputs, copy all of these, paste in here, and let's try refreshing that. Yeah, now we have our form. Let me just zoom it out a little bit, and now we have lots of these elements. Now we don't want these all of the elements, so we can just remove these. We don't want password, we don't want our disabled, we don't want our last name, and we don't want, only want our to do. So if we say to do, and instead of placeholder I should do, and now we need a button also. So let's fix this CSS, and in here dot pro we want to add a button with the type of submit, and we can say add. So now we are having a little button. Okay, so to make it more stylish, we can use class is equal to btn green. Sorry, you can say green, and it will add some styling to that. So whenever you click that, it is the form is getting submitted, and with the form you can set the action argument, which will be the current directory, and you will always have to add a CRSF token, and you can manually type all of these if you haven't installed an extension. And with post method, sorry, with method is equal to post, so you can, okay, and we should name it whatever. Now what should we do? We should name like to do task. Okay, all right, we got our form, and now we should make a URL for that. In here you can say path, or you can do this without even creating a separate path. In here you can add a condition. Okay, if request.method is equal to post, then what should you do? Like if the form is submitted, like we are just hitting our form submit on this current directory, like you can also say this. If we add this, this is always getting submitted to the root URL, and using that, if we and at the current view, if the request will be some, if a post request is coming, we can check this using request.method. And now how should we, okay, just let's print out request dot post. Okay, continue, and as you can see, we were passing CRS token, which is this, and in our to-do task we are passing this. So where this to-do task came from, later I added this name, which is name task, so this will be added, this is added to this dictionary. So if I refresh again, okay, let's go to that. If I add in here like make YouTube video, if I add this, then you will see CRF sub token and to do task make YouTube video. Beautiful. So now what should we do? Request dot post. In that post we want to access our to do task, so let's copy from it from terminal and let's print that out. So make YouTube video, and now here you can say start working on Mumble. Start working on Mumble. Yeah, cool. So now how do you store that into your database? Easy. You can just keep this, you can store that value like task is equal to this, and now you can just say print task, whatever we are getting from our middleware, sorry, not middleware, front end form, and we are entering this. Now what should you do? So to create an object of that instance, you have to do todos.objects.create. okay, so with all of so using this like model name, model manager, and create function, you can create an instance of that model. And what was that? In the task name, is equal to task. So if I add make a YouTube video, I add, then boom, it's added. So here we are just deleting that, not marking as completed. So to get that, So instead of getting all of the instances, let's make a filter here. Sorry, not here, we have to do it here. So we also have a filter method which will do completed, which we can pass. Completed is equal to false, and it will basically filter all of our tasks which are not completed, so it will complete them. Make a new video and we can just delete that. Okay, they were start working on mumble, add whatever, like you can just simply add whatever you want, and let's just delete these random values. And now you don't want to delete them from your database. Instead, you just want to mark them as completed, and you also want to see the task that you completed, not just delete. So instead of just deleting that, to do dot completed is equal to true, and to do dot save. Okay, so now this will modify the completed attribute, or you can say completed attribute of that instance, and later save that. So if we do refresh, now if we will go here, completed, so now it is, if we go to our admin panel, now you will see we have our both of our instance, and we are just seeing this. Why? Because we are just filtering which are completed. So as you can see, started working on is not completed, so that's why we are only saying this. And if you go back to start making video, it is completed, so we are saying that completed is equal to false, but this is equal to true, so we are not getting this value. Okay, and here we can say to do's completed is equal to do dot object dot filter completed is equal to true. So let's add this to our template. To do's completed, insert this. Okay, so let's grab, so we don't need to grab another one, we can just use these. If there are to-dos that are completed, then if there are to-dos that are completed, so all of the to-dos for every to-do in every to-dos that are completed, render them and add a value completed. So yeah, as you can see, so if I just, instead of the delete button, we can just make it as check. Okay, so now that's looking more legit, or you can say, okay, so you haven't completed that, so we haven't wrote any logic for this, we just added that. Now we can go to our admin panel and save that, making it a video, and try to modify that, and if you refresh it, then boom, we completed this, and we haven't make any logic for that, so instead we can say incomplete. Okay, in URLs you can say incomplete, and you can say here non-completed, and in our your views you can just copy that, and in here you can say non-completed, and in here you can also import that from, and we want, obviously don't want just same logic, we can set the false value. Okay, so let's try this. Boom, it's working. we say enter this, so instead of just marking this, we can just say to-dos completed to-dos. We have say to-dos and we have here completed to-dos, and if we want to, if we haven't done yet, then we can mark that as not completed. So that's pretty good. And now what's left now? So for now, what we have done, so now you now know how to create in the database and how to edit in the database, and sorry how to read from the database, how to update from the database, and how to delete from the database. And where is the create functionality for now? Let's summarize. This is the our create functionalities. Here I can say create, I don't know, create, let's take just create, and here and here we are doing read, and here we are doing read functionality, and I am using OBS. Sorry for your late reply. Okay, let me just check some live chats. All right, I think I'm too late to reply to you, Dennis. Sorry for that. So in these two functions, what we are doing is we are just modifying the value of that instance. So you can say here we updated something. Okay, in these values. Okay, so whenever you get an instance, so you modify their attribute using dot operator, and then you must save them. Okay, and as I have shown you, so let's create delete functionality as well, request and then id, and then do is equal to get id is equal to id. Here you can say delete, this is the delete functionality, and you can say to do dot delete, and now you can return redirect to the home page. Okay, and we don't have any URL for that for now. You can use path delete and id. Okay, delete, and now you can import that. All right, that's completed now. So what's left for delete functionality? Okay, let me remove that. If these are completed, then user can also delete them. How do they delete? So let's add one more icon, which will be delete. Okay, just let not add it here. So let's firstly refresh. It is completed, and so one of our website is, sorry, one of our instance, or you can say one of our to do is completed. And now what you need to do is, let's give it a dynamic Where is our a? Oh, here it is. Okay, let's just go to the second line, and instead of here you can use delete. Okay, instead of close you can say delete, and you can give it a red icon. Sorry, red. No, I am not using Bootstrap. I am using Materialize CSS. Now let's refresh. Now this is the delete icon, and you can simply remove that back here. Now if you click here, you will see also the delete icon as well. So if you will click delete, it will be deleted from the database. Sorry. And instead of nothing to left to do, you can enter here like you have done nothing. Start working on your things. Start working. Okay, we can just say you have done nothing, start working. Okay, you should do this now. And if you click OK, completed to-dos. Now we are not having that warning, and you can add class is equal to red text, so that let's remove this back to you have done nothing, start working. If you will click that here, no left task left to do, and you can add here class is equal to green text. Okay, and green text. If you will remove back, you have done nothing, start working. Come on, what are you doing? And you should add here start making it a video. This is not completed. Okay, this is completed. So you can just, if you are not, if that was just by mistake, then you can remove that back there. And if you want to remove that, now it's here. So you can get all of these from this code from my GitHub. So let me just upload this to my GitHub. New repo. Okay, just let me add to do, which will create repository, and let's just copy these commands and get in it. So let me just add readme file. Fatal pad did not match any. What are you saying? Git add readme.md. Okay, let's skip for that. You can do this. So if you have VS Code, you can just do this. So let me just you can use git add, and this will add of our files in our repositories, and let's commit that. And now what you will need to do, you can skip this step. Okay, but let's do this anyway. Git remote, let's put our project to GitHub. So yeah, I think that the project is now completed. So let's summarize this and what we have created, updated, and read and delete. Create, update, read, or you can do like this if you really want to just follow CRUD. Okay, so we have created, read, updated, and deleted from database. So these are the basic core functionalities which you do from the database. And here is the like basic how to work with forms. Like you have to request dot method is equal to form, and So to use like multiple forms, you can, or so if you want to use a base form, like if you want to extend any form to another form, then sorry, not form, extend an HTML to another HTML, then what you can do is, so you can come here and you can just say path dot join path instead of here, sorry, base directory with templates. So what we have done here, so with the base directory, which is our this, join the join also the directory which is templates. Okay, so we'll do here templates, and in here, so let's create base.html, and in here, so just let me copy all of the code in our template. Let's just copy it here. And what should we do for now? Now what's next? And in our body, you can define your block content, and you can just end it here, and you can remove all of this from here. So all of your content will be injected here. Okay, so if you want to use like a base template for every page, then you don't have to use like, then you don't have to use like to do .html, so you don't have to copy and paste all of that stuff, and then you don't need to edit just all of these like, and you will, what this will do is you really don't need to import these file again. So, okay, again, sorry, these files you will not need to import them again. So let me just do it here. So you can remove these and these, so you can use here extends, okay, base.html, and you can say block content, and as we have defined this content here, not don't have, so okay, our terminal has a pretty good error, so let's fix that. In our base we don't have join, just we have join path. Okay, then you can run the server again. So if you will see, I hope nothing is broken, and yep, everything is working good as expected. So if you, so every button is working, and if you delete it here, no task left to do, you have done nothing, start working. Okay, and let me just provide the GitHub link for this. So yeah, I think most of the work is done. So this is the basic of that, and in our next live stream what we are going to do is that user authentication and some navigation stuff, like here you can place a navigation bar and doing some extra stuff. So that's it for today's video, and I will be joining you in this live, in the, not in this live, obviously new live. Okay, that's it for today.